Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn hosted by Wavelogix. I am Joe Turk, and I'll be your host today. We're excited to introduce you to Identia, cutting-edge solution to revolutionary infrastructure monitoring and optimization. Identia provides real-time insights, data-driven decision-making, and predictive analytics to enhance efficiency, safety, and sustainability. Today's guests and the hosts of Identia podcast, pardon the dust, um, are Caitlin and Jillian. You might know them from their podcast and their webinars. Before we dive in, let me just give you some housekeeping items to clear up. The webinar is being recorded, and a copy of the recording and any presentation material will be shared with you via email afterwards. For the best viewing experience, we recommend using the gallery view speaker view. You can switch between views in the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom window. Please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to submit any questions you have during the session. We'll address them during the Q&A portion at the end. If you encounter any technical issues, let us know in the chat and our support team will assist you. Feel free to engage with us. Use the chat function to share your thoughts, and please ensure your messages are sent to everyone for the participants to see. Okay, let's introduce our speakers. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Wavelogix and our distinguished guest. Wavelogix, as you may know, was founded in 2021 in partnership with Indiana Department of Transportation and Purdue University to improve road and bridge reliability while reducing traffic disruptions. The Rebel concrete strength sensing system, it's a mouthful, provides real-time in-place measurement of concrete properties, offering a more precise and versatile solution than traditional sensors. With patented technology, Wavelogix eliminates the need for preset maturity curves, delivering accurate results across various projects and helping teams optimize schedules and reduce costs. Identia OneSource, powerful solution revolutionizing data tracking and plant management in the precast industry, was founded in 2007 by Tom Tilson as International Coating Technologies. Identia was built to provide rugged product identification technology for tracking precast products through production and storage. Recognizing its potential, their current CEO, Jeff Pollock, joined in 2015, further expanding Identia's capabilities. Identia OneSource is an all-in-one platform that enables manufacturers and infrastructure enterprises, such as DOTs, railroads, bridge operators, to seamlessly collect, track, manage, and analyze data. What started as a tool for physical tracking has evolved into a comprehensive system that enhances operational efficiency and supports the entire life cycle of infrastructure assets. Driven by the need for real-time access to relevant data, Identia continues to innovate, helping companies transition from analog processes to modern data-driven manufacturing. Just to introduce our panel today, I'm Joe Turk, President and COO of Wavelogix. I received a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from the University of Notre Dame and an MBA from Northwestern's Kellogg School of Management. I've been involved in manufacturing my entire career, held 5 patents, including high-performance microwave telecommunications, circuit board technologies, and I'm a registered professional engineer and a member of the IPC and the IEEE. Henry Silva is a director of product development and co-founder of Wavelogix, Inc., where he has led the production team or the product team in the construction industry for the past 2 years, developing an innovative end-to-end IoT solution that enhances efficiency and connectivity. Henry attended Purdue University and continuously expanded his engineering and product innovation knowledge. His approach to leadership is rooted in fostering a workplace where employees thrive professionally and personally. Introducing Jillian Powell from Identia, product owner, came to Identicia with a strong technical background in math, physics, and materials engineering. Holy cow.
Thank you.
Smart cookie she
Okay, we
is.
bow down to you. That's great. Identity allowed her to apply these skills to sales for the first time. With a year of experience and determination to push Identicia OneSource to be the best software for the construction industry, Jillian pursued and became the full-time role of product owner in 2022. Congratulations for that. Jillian enjoys, oh, I love this, crocheting, antiquing, and spending time outdoors with friends in her free time. Okay, we're gonna have to talk more about that.
Sure.
um, as she quotes, my favorite part of Identity is how we value growth and learning. There is always an opportunity to stay true to my passion for learning new skills and making myself well-rounded. Fantastic. Okay, and finally introducing Caitlin Boutin. Um, she's the brand manager of Identicia. She's been working in marketing and design since 2016. Her design, writing, and marketing skills, with her design, writing, and marketing skills, Caitlin has brought to Identicia a wealth of knowledge that accompanies her position as brand manager. When Caitlin isn't flexing her marketing skills, you can find her petting her cat. That's fantastic.
Yes,
Uh, I love
it's
cats
a good
and
pastime.
watching the latest movies or playing the latest video games. Oh, a video or gamer. Okay,
Yes.
great. As a storyteller herself, she can never consume enough new media. That's fantastic. Way to stay connected. She quotes, my favorite part would would have to be Jeff's trust in each of our hands. We are encouraged to share our ideas, to be experts in our field, while also encouraging us to work in an interdisciplinary manner, which hugely benefits us all. So fantastic. Welcome, Jillian and Caitlin. Thanks for being part of our show today. And with that, we'll kind of get started as our introduction. Uh, we're uh, we have just recently partnered with Identicia. Wavelogix and Identicia are working to kind of shape the future of data-driven construction. Identicia focuses on asset tracking, as we talked about, in the precast world of concrete products. That's really important. We're going to delve into that a little bit. And we're excited about being part of a team with Identicia, sharing our data from our strength sensor, the Rebel, on their platform. Uh, this is really important because the role of traceability and performance today in data is influential in the modern infrastructure projects. So, with that said, let's get into it. I'm going to ask some of the first questions, and then I'm going to hand it over to Henry. So, in the meantime, I'll let you ladies fight out who's going to answer these questions. But let's start with, can you explain how Identicia's OneSource works from production all the way through the product site or the project site?
Sure, absolutely. I can take that one to start off.
Okay.
So Identicia starts at the origination of your projects or any sales orders that you have. So we have lots of customers who make very custom projects. So it's the second that custom order comes in and the engineer is working on the product, that's going into Identicia. You can also start from stock. So you have a catalog of products that you provide to your customers. That can also be input into Identicia. We help you track your product throughout its entire life cycle, whether that's creating the mold and form custom or entering that into a long bed for pre-stressed products. But we really focus on that precast segment, whether that's architectural small pieces or very large bridge panels or things like that. We take you through the entire QC process, any repairs or finishings that need to be done, yarding your product, doing inventory cycle counts for your product, and later shipping your product and actually having it arrive on the job site to be installed. So we can track the data from point A to point B all the way through your life cycle, and we prepare reports and dashboards so that you can use data that you've gathered throughout that life cycle to make better informed decisions and to improve the performance of your manufacturing operation.
And I'll add to that too, one of my favorite analogies we always use is the license plate. So in order for you to know what that data is for that particular piece, there is a serial number that's linked to each piece, and it's basically the license plate. So you can look up the license plate and you can see any data that's been added to that product and all the way from the beginning to the end.
That's really cool. Now, as we understand it, you focus on the precast industry, and precast is really manufacturing concrete forms and bits and pieces, right? They first pour that typically in a factory, and they put it into a mold, right? So usually they're using some form where the concrete is curing. Do you tag it right at that point, or do you wait till it gets deformed?
No, you tag it right at that point. So Identia does have a patented tag design that actually
Mm.
gets embedded into the product. It can either
Oh,
be
cool.
face plated so that you can see it flush with the surface of your product and the pins that sit in the mold get stripped out during that post-pour process. Or
Okay.
you can embed it fully into the concrete so you can't even see the tag on the surface. And that's
Wow.
great for products that need to be polished or viewed from 360 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how does it connect up to your system? Is that, yeah,
Yeah, so the tags that we use can either have a barcode or an RFID tag in them, and they work in
okay.
the same exact way, but they provide some different opportunities. RFID tags can be embedded into the surface of the concrete, that way you can't see them, but the
Okay.
radio waves from the tag are still emitting,
Mm.
and it's actually brought into a scanner. I do have one here for if
Okay.
anyone wants to see.
Haha.
So
Oh, cool.
there's a
Okay.
scanner. You
Excellent.
can see it. It's on my desk. So that data is pulled in. And all we're pulling is that license plate, essentially, that
Okay.
Caitlin mentioned before. That
Hmm.
license plate is the one single identifier for that record. And you
Hmm.
enter all your data on a mobile app to continue through gathering that data and inspecting the life cycle of that product.
Cool. And um, once they pour the concrete and it reaches a particular strength, then they can demold the product, and it's usually strong enough for them to move it out of the factory. And then they typically put it in a yard, right, to go to full cure, and they
Yeah.
wait till they get to the final strength. So once you start moving product out into a field somewhere, I would suspect that kind of tracking it gets really, really tough. So your product is a great way for people to know where their product is at any one time. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
mhm. Okay. And is there any GPS tracking at all with your product?
Yeah, so when you're using Identia, because there's a mobile app that goes along with it, we can
Hmm.
pull the GPS location from the mobile app as you're working on the product, which will pinpoint your product on a map that we will
Hmm.
display for you in one of your dashboards. In
Great.
addition to that, the new feature that we mentioned having a webinar yesterday before we started, but the new feature that we just launched for inventory cycle counts can also help you capture everything where it is in your yard relative to the other pieces in your yard as well. And so
Oh, fantastic.
between GPS and the relative location from the cycle counting,
Hmm.
you can get all of that information.
And then do your customers track the product when it leaves the yard right to their job site as well?
Yeah, we do have some customers that do that. So we have a shipping module where you can track every serial number or
Hmm.
license plate that ends up on the back of that trailer.
Hmm.
And because Identia is for the plant and not for the individual user, if you have drivers that you work with, they can scan
Hmm.
that in on site at the job site and capture the GPS location there as well. So if you have a customer calls you up and says, "Hey, my products aren't here," your driver can refer back to that report and say, "I dropped them at exactly this GPS coordinate on your job
Hmm.
site. Go ahead and take a forklift over there and try to find them." And so it
Nice.
really is helping the customer from
Yeah.
all the way to the beginning to satisfying their customers as well.
Yeah. What did they do before your product? Were they just marking them with chalk and numbers and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
we do see a lot of grease pencil
Hmm.
solutions or spray paint even on the side of products. Lots of paper and clipboard and Excel. Excel is a huge love of the industry, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, if I can add, real-time strength monitoring is kind of crucial in the precast industry because both it's required for when you demold and have enough strength then to move your product. And then once you put it out into the field, it's sitting out there until it reaches the final strength, right?
Yeah.
So we envision our strength data will end up right on your dashboard, right?
Yes.
And then so the customers not only can identify the product where it's located from your GPS location software, they'll also be able to watch and monitor the strength. And then when it hits the strength, they can send Charlie out to the field to go grab that part and put it on the truck. Does that sound
Mhm.
about right?
It does.
I can
Yeah.
even foresee us being able to make a report that has just like, that real-time monitoring at like order of likely to be demolded. So you can kind of like go in and run that report and see, all right, this is the order of products that are probably going to be demolded within X amount of time or days. And
Yeah.
then now they can kind of work off of that and it'll be a lot easier for them.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So when you coupled technology before Identity and before Rebel, you had both people putting grease pencil marks on product and then trying to figure out what the strength was. And the typical method has been doing cylinder breaks, where they would pour a companion cylinder and then they would break them. So you can imagine you have all this product out into your field that was poured in different days, so it's curing at different rates, and you've got all these cylinders that now you have to break the cylinder, and when it says that we've reached strength, now you got to go out into the field and try and find that one, right?
Exactly.
It's like mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
how they actually did that. So, really kind of tying together, I think your vision of tying together real-time strength data with real-time accurate identification and asset tracking seems to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think they also, a lot of people might like monitor and manage on a whiteboard. So they just
Hmm.
have a whiteboard that they have all this information. And then, of course, they're still working on a whiteboard and somebody's got to go check that. And then, again, still go find all the pieces that were actually even related to that
Yeah.
wow, cylinder and however they're doing that.
Yeah. I guess with asset tracking also it makes it a lot more efficient to your yard where you're storing product, because when you can imagine you start putting stuff in the back of the field and you start moving forward with more product, but then that stuff starts shipping out. So now you're putting even newer stuff back where the old stuff was.
Mhm.
And in the end, you've got this jumble of stuff that's everywhere in every stuff. So if you can actually identify exactly where it is, it doesn't matter where you put it now in the yard, right? You can put
Hmm.
it anywhere and you can just go and find it when you need it. So
Yeah.
I think you've developed a really cool system. Um, any issues with or challenges with trying to maintain the accuracy and the traceability of the product?
I think the biggest thing that everyone should know when they're adapting any sort of technology is that it's only as good as what you feed it. And
Mm,
so if you're not feeding it accurate data, if you're not consistent with using it every single day and inputting the same information about all of the products, it's not going to be able to give you that traceability that you're looking for and those results that you're looking for. And so
yeah.
really it's the buy-in from the user level people that is really crucial to making the technology work. The technology does work, it just requires the people to be on board to make it happen.
Yeah. And I suspect that your system is saving your customers a lot of money in the process.
Yeah, our CEO, Jeff Pollock, set up a calculator, a return on investments calculator a while ago. And out of, I think he said around 35 precasters who have filled it out, we have an average of a 4x return on investment every year
Wow. Wow.
for implementing the solution. So
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
saving, but
Yeah.
time as well. And
Yeah.
kind of leading back to what you were talking about of,
Hmm.
you don't know what is the newest product. Those lean principles of first in, first out, and just in time creation and delivery, those are huge benefits as well that might not
Hmm.
have a numbers cost associated with them, but in terms of tied up capital, it definitely is a long-term gain.
Yeah. And we're also hoping that with real-time strength, typically the industry waits 28 days to get the final strength and then they do a cylinder break. With real-time strength, we'll be able to tell with the Rebel system when they actually get to strength. And so hopefully, and usually we have seen on average, you talk about efficiencies, getting to strength in about half the time that is required. So if you can cut that time down from 28 days to 14 days, you really can be moving product a lot faster. So
Oh yeah.
efficiency wise, that really works out well.
Yeah, and also having that all tracked into a system that can now show you analytics with
Yeah.
our dashboards and our reports. They can start seeing the trends of like, all right, springtime, everything cures so much faster, let's just say, because of the conditions of
Yeah.
the weather in the area where they are. So being able to kind of see these new trends and monitor that throughout the year and
Mm.
by product type, by mix design, and all of that is going to be, I feel, hugely beneficial to becoming more efficient, doing more just-in-time delivery and product in production. And I'm really excited to see how this goes. I'm very excited.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
Then,
Well, we love using apps, but like everyone hates flipping between this app and that app and
right.
looking at this. So
Absolutely.
having it all together on one platform, fantastic. I think
Yep.
that's really the way to go. So
Yeah.
good job so far on what you've accomplished with Identia, and we're looking forward to being integrated into that system. Okay, I will stop capitalizing the questions. I'm going to turn some questions over to Henry because he has some real doozies for you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You guys have been talking about the various ways your customers have success, and I kind of want to dive a little bit more into that. You were talking about people tracking things with spray paint, grease was in there somehow, and then Excel. People are really loving Excel.
Wow.
When firms are using your product, what are some of the specific insights and things that they can do differently compared to their competition when they're using your platform?
Caitlin, do you want to take that one to start?
Oh no, sure. I was figuring you'd have a faster answer, but yes. So some of the things I can imagine is going to be just like the efficiency and the accuracy of more real-time reporting of all of this data. So when you're using Excel or doing anything by hand, of course, there's more manual or user error upon that, or double data entry with like spreading across all of the data points that you need to add in. And then let's say you did want to make a pretty graph in Excel with your data. Sometimes that's hard to do. Like I still have trouble making graphs. I'm like, why doesn't this look how I want it to look? But we are able to put together those dashboards and reports for them, and they're able to see those insights exactly as they want to. We'll figure out and help coordinate how they need to collect data in order to best see what they want to see. So instead of now we've kind of taken away some of the math work because Jillian's such a great math whiz, / we also have a great team of everybody that knows how to create and develop dashboards and reports that really show really valuable insights that you just can't do on your own. That's my take on that question.
Yeah, and the reason I handed it over to Caitlin is because currently she's doing a fantastic job running a competition that we're doing called the Scrap Down Challenge, which is showing people how their repairs and scrap is actually impacting them financially, and what the financial impacts of that is, and helping them to minimize those impacts by understanding the root causes so that they can address the root causes of the repairs, damages, scrapped product that is going into that. And from that, all of our competitors are soon going to be able to compare themselves to the other competitors in the rest of the industry and really see that full 360 bird's eye view of what's going on. And again, Caitlin's the one running that initiative, and she's doing a fantastic job of really showing people things they'd never know just by marking their products with spray paint and tracking it in Excel. It's that global data insight that they're getting, and that happens not just in this competition, but also in the product in general. You can see the tracking of how your repairs are impacting you, how maybe ordering materials late has impacted and delayed your production, or how accidentally manufacturing 20 extra T-beams that have sat in your yard for 5 years has tied up some capital. And so those are things that, although you might feel the data isn't there when you're just tracking it on a pencil and paper and you've got a whole binder full of, mistakes or overproduction. It's really in your face and apparent on our dashboards and reports that you just can't avoid the harsh truth, but it also helps you improve. And that's what we're trying to do, is move us to be the best that we can be.
And nothing worse than like looking at, a handwritten note and you're like, is that a 6 or a 0? I can't. Did I write that? Did somebody else write that? I don't know.
Yeah.
So then that's a very different number depending on what you're adding into your Excel or wherever you're adding this data. Because like 6 feet versus, well, nothing would be 0 feet, but you know what I mean. 60 feet versus 66 feet. That's pretty significant for a length. So.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I know that your platform has some degree of customizability, right? Each customer has their own unique needs. And so, how do you work with them, educate them to where maybe they can find something that you didn't know before that could help them? Do you have any instances of that happening? There's all these different types of precast things that people can make. So can you give an example or two of that happening and how that went about?
Yeah, absolutely. So our system was initially built for quality management, for pre-pour, post-pour. That was really the meat and potatoes and underlying of Identia. But as you mentioned, Henry, our system is fully customizable. Every piece of data you collect, every process you collect it through, every project you create, you build from scratch. So during onboarding, we help people understand kind of the capabilities of our system and what kinds of things we do, but we also have them walk us through their process and inspect what they're already doing. We try to make our system fit their lives and not try to shove them into a box that we've built for them. So we've had some customers come to us and ask for things that we don't do. We have
Mhm.
one customer who came to us looking to track work hours. We just want to know how many hours each of our manufacturers are on the site doing jobs. And they decided that instead of just labeling their products with RFID tags, each of their employees was going to have an RFID tag that was their personal employee number. And they created processes called clock in and clock out. And now we track those employees clocking in and clocking out. So that's not what we're designed for, but there's so many creative ways that you can use our system, and our customers love being creative and finding ways to work within that. So yeah, absolutely. We've seen some really weird things, but I think making your employees products was the most interesting application that I've seen so far.
Wow, interesting. So do you actually then embed the tracking information into the employees, sort of like you tag your pets to that way?
No, I think they have the RFID tags all like hanging on a wall with like a label sticker over them. It's a little futuristic for us
Okay,
to start
we're
embedding
not there
tags into
yet,
our
right?
skins.
Okay.
Not quite yet.
Hopefully they haven't figured out they can scan their buddy's code when they come in during the day.
We have had some support calls of, hey, I accidentally ran a pre-pour on myself. I need to help figure out this data. But overall, I didn't see it as a pretty smart system. And so we can filter that kind of error out in our reports and
Mhm.
dashboards. Yeah.
Cool.
Great. What are, a lot of firms are doing this low tech stuff and they want to, maybe their upper management wants to move to something that's more high tech. What are some misconceptions both on the operator level and at the, I guess, owner level, the people that are interested in these dashboards that people have when coming into this? And maybe it's something where it's not quite, you don't think that it's going to deliver the right results or deliver those impactful results. So how do you address those type of misconceptions, and what are those misconceptions usually?
I'm gonna let Jillian start on that one.
Sure. So there are definitely a lot of misconceptions when people come in. I think when you think about implementing a new technology or new software, you think about losing money and kind of making this investment. And obviously, there's a cost associated with the upfront onboarding and the software itself, but it will save you money in the long run. And it also, I think a lot of people believe that their workforce isn't going to be able to handle the changes or kind of transition with the internal transition of the company. And I think that at least what I've seen is that lots of people are very open and excited for change and excited for innovation to be brought into their workplace and to be shown that they're trusted with new and exciting tools. And so I think the overall perception that there might be hesitation from the ground level, the worker level, although not entirely unfounded, is definitely overstated some of the time.
Mhm.
I've definitely seen plenty of people get really excited to come up to me at the precast show and show me that they have it on their iPhone now and they can take it home with them and learn about it and not have to just be doing work at work, which we don't necessarily need to encourage. However, that's an exciting thing just to have the option and the availability. So I think those are the two things that stand out to me the most, is that you're going to lose money by doing this because you need to have it, or that your employees aren't going to be able to live up to the challenge of adopting a new technology, because people come through.
And
Sure.
I'll add to that too with how we design our software and our system is to be very intuitive. And then as Jillian mentioned, we are very hands-on with our onboarding and being there in person, having them walk us through what they're doing and then us walk through how they can be using the system. We'll mirror it to what they're doing today, but there's always room for improvement because they're probably like, oh, I wish we could do this. Like, oh, you can. So don't worry about that. So we try to make it very easy and very simple for everybody to understand and be able to use it without really needing training. Of course, there is some learning curves just to get through, just to get the initial hump over. But after that, it is very easy to understand. And yeah.
Mhm.
From that.
Well, I
That's
think for
great.
any owners that are on the call, that they should know that their employees are capable and they can figure it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
great.
If they can fill out the clipboard, checkboard, like the checklist on the clipboard, they can do the same exact task on their phone or a
Yes, yeah.
tablet.
Yeah. Henry, maybe we'll jump into talking about the the digital construction site and what's coming up in 2025. So any insights, ladies, into what do you think is gonna any type of emerging trends that you see coming about in technology in your field or just in construction over this year, the next 5 years?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
many.
I've seen a lot, a lot of changes recently. I think the two biggest changes I've seen is a huge push for 3D modeling, specifically BIM
Mm.
or digital twins, which is that real-time sensor data is what
Oh yeah.
distinguishes those two. Um, and then we also see a huge push in the previous years. I'm not sure how
Mm.
this is going to change now, but for environmental impact reports.
Mm.
Specifically, Canada was really looking at that, but definitely it was spreading throughout some states in the US of needing to figure out where your materials are coming from, how
Mhm.
they're impacting the environment, and what you're doing to offset that.
Mhm.
And so I think those two large pieces in terms of EPDs or environmental product declarations and
Mm.
BIM, digital twins, 3D modeling in general are definitely coming into our segment of the construction field a lot.
Yeah, and
That's
I
cool. Mm. Yep.
I was
Sorry.
just
Go
going to
ahead, Kate.
add that I
Yeah.
definitely just see more things like leaning towards becoming more digital because of everything Jillian had just mentioned and having that product data collected already digitally so you don't
Mhm.
now have to add in, information of products you've already sent out. So starting to get onto the digital train sooner rather than later so that you're not
Mm.
now trying to catch up. One thing I've always heard with just for any type of new technology, like the early adopters are always going to be the ones that are experts come the time that everybody needs to be on it. So the sooner
Mhm.
you can do it, the sooner you're already becoming an expert. And now you're the innovative person in the field. And you're the one that everybody's looking up to. And you can kind of like cruise because you're like, I've been doing this for 5 years and now everybody else is catching up. So it could
Yeah.
be the difference within the next few years.
That- do you foresee using any type of, maybe you're using machine learning now or AI types of tools, or do you foresee using more of those tools in the future?
Yeah, I definitely see that coming in the next 5 years. I don't know if our industry is quite ready yet
Mm.
for AI or machine learning, but I definitely think Internet of Things is coming. And I know that Wavelogix plays into that as well. But I think having everything connected and in one place, there's a lot of discussion right now about, well, I already have one software. Why do I need two? Because the
Yeah.
siloed component of that is really hard to get over. So when everything's talking to each other and you only need to go one place to see all of your information, that's
Mm.
really critical. But I think the overall trust and reliance on AI and machine learning is not quite there yet. Maybe in the next
Mhm.
5 years, though.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. There's I think we see kind of the emerging trends of more IoT and digital devices that are being added to the construction site, monitoring all sorts of things. We, of course, have focused on strength. Are you currently integrating any other types of IoT devices into your platform, or have visions of adding other IoT devices into it?
We have lots of visions. I don't know if there's anything that we're directly working with besides Wavelogix that would
Okay.
qualify under that umbrella. But certainly it's coming. I don't want to share too much about what we're doing
Okay.
without any permissions, but
Sure.
it's something to keep an eye out for in the next couple of years.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's great. So it sounds like you'll continue to integrate in. If this works, if we're successful with the relationship with Wavelogix, then you can start adding more things onto your dashboard. Certainly, that was very fascinating about adding in labor tracking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we rebranded our software last year to Identicia One Source, it's really because we envision ourselves becoming the one source for all of your product data and
Mhm.
everything happening in your precast plant production. So we want to keep connecting and we want to keep integrating and we want to be able to help show everything that they need to know in one spot so they're not digging
Mhm.
around here, there, and everywhere to get the actionable insights that they need to become the best that they possibly can be.
Yeah, you guys have done a wonderful job on setting up a great dashboard and integrating the data. Henry and I look at that all the time, and we're like, God, we're so happy that Caitlin and Jillian can do things like that and Identicia, and we don't have to worry about it. We can just focus on strength.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think the last question we have to ask, and this is the things that we struggle with at Wavelogix, and I'm sure you do as well, is how do we get the contractors to overcome the resistance to change? It's a 100-year-old industry, or it goes all the way back to the Romans, right? And nobody likes to change, and yet we come out with all these great innovative ideas. And how do we get that industry moving? How are you guys helping people get on board with your types of products?
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the things I'll go back to is we do that 4-person onboarding. So before we even show up on site, we have meetings with our new customers, and we work with them to understand, the product, and we start doing some work on our end to get it set up for them. And then we show up and we really try to make it as relatable as possible for them and make it seem like it's already part of their job. That it's not like a new crazy thing that's gonna like completely disrupt what they do every day. It's only going to ease their mind. They don't have to think about things as much because they can just kind of focus on what they're doing instead of also now like, okay, I filled out this clipboard. Now I still got to make sure I submit it or make sure I enter the data. Like nobody has to do that anymore. It's done on the spot. You're saving time. You're able to go back to your data and see everything that you need to. I feel like I try to make sure that they know that it's okay. That's what I do. I mean, I'm not as heavily involved directly with our customers. Jillian more so is. But just with the resistance to change, I've been noticing the market shifting and being more comfortable with technology in general and being more understanding that this is something that they need to do. Whether they might not feel the urgency to do it yet, but they are starting to see it. I've been noticing that shift within the past 1 to 2 years of them being like, all right, we should listen to this and hear about it. And they might not be ready today, which is okay, but as long as they know about it and they know where they can come back and say, hey, I'm back. And we're like, all right, well, we're still here and we've improved.
That's right.
So here you go. Enjoy. What about you, Jillian?
Yeah, I think that even before the sale, there's a huge relationship building component of it all. So just being there, having your face there, being accessible for conversations or information before you're even pushing your product is so essential. And it helps everyone in the ecosystem kind of thrive a little bit better. And then remembering that me providing them this technology is not for me, it's for them. And so I know the technology inside and out, but they don't, not necessarily anyway. And so making sure that I'm meeting them where they already are, if that's needing a video, if that's needing a written article. Again, it's not for me, it's not what works best for me, but it's what works best for them. And I think that's the same in communicating and trying to change anyone's mind, is trying to understand where they are, put yourselves in their shoes, create that relationship and that foundation to mutually understand each other and work up from there. And I think it's the same thing here. You're not going to change a 100-year industry overnight, and you're not going to change it by kicking and screaming. You're going to change it by understanding and working together towards a common goal.
I'd also say too, we've been doing some more in-person visits even before a sale, and I think that's just due to everybody being very hands-on with their job. So they're used to having a hands-on experience. So like technology, I feel they may feel takes away some of the hand element to actually what they're doing at their role. So just trying to help show them that this is going to benefit you and just showing them in person.
Not going to lose your job over it.
Yeah, right. Like you're going to be able to do more of what you like to do. Granted, if
I'm replaced by a robot.
Yeah, like if your favorite thing is, writing check marks down a checklist, I'm really sorry because this does take away that. But if it's not your favorite part about the job and you actually prefer making your molds or like actually doing the pouring, by all means, now you get to do more of that without having to do anything extra.
Well, your background in gaming is great because you got to make this interactive now.
Exactly.
Like you get points every time you put something on the board.
Yep.
That's great. So I just want to remind the audience that today's webinar and with our panel discussion was really to talk about how we integrate the Rebel sensor from Wavelogix with Idencia's wonderful system in their dashboard. And this was not a discussion to really get deep into our technology. So I really encourage everyone to check out the Idencia website to get more information and/or contact Caitlin or Jillian and listen to their podcast, Kicking Up the Dust All the Time. Likewise, certainly check out the Wavelogix Rebel website and learn more about how our technology works. And hopefully we're going to see some great things integrating the two technologies together into one digital platform. With that said, before I forget, I want to thank you, ladies, for joining us today. Suzanne, are there any questions from the field that we might be able to share if you're still there?
Whoa, rolls on in.
Yeah, roll in, roll out. That was kind of spooky.
I do not see
Kevin.
any messages, Joe.
Yeah, okay.
Kevin would like to ask, will certificates of attendance be issued for credit hours? No, they will not be for this.
Oh, sorry about that, Kevin. Hopefully you got some value out of this.
Thank you for coming still.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Well, we'd like to thank everybody, and Caitlin and Jillian, thank you for your time. Henry, Joe, thank you. And we look forward to seeing everyone soon.
Okay, great. All right, have a great one. We'll see you all next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.